Hi everyone, Radhe Radhe. So in this video we're going to be doing chapter 5 verse 15, and I think this is a very powerful verse. Um, the commentaries of both the Prabhupada and Swami Mukundanand are very powerful, both of them. I love them. I loved every word of them almost. And the verse itself is very powerful, and I don't understand it at all. I mean, yeah, it seems like I understand it, but I don't understand it. It seems to go very deep. Okay, so let us sing the verse together and let's dive in. Na datte kasyachit papam na chaiva sukritam vibhuh अज्ञानेनावृतं ज्ञानं तेन मुह्यन्ति जन्तवः. Translation is, nor does the Supreme Lord assume anyone's sinful or pious activities. Embodied beings, however, are bewildered because of the ignorance which covers their real knowledge. So what he's saying here is the Supreme Lord does not assume anyone's sinful or pious activities. He's not he does not take on, whatever us individuals do is on us. Like whatever karma we accrue, good or bad, is on us. It's completely on us. It's our free will. Embodied beings, however, are bewildered because of the ignorance that covers their knowledge. So we are bewildered, human beings or living beings or whatever, because we don't know knowledge. We're covered. Our knowledge is covered. Okay, so nadate kasyachit papam never accepts anyone's sin, nor na chaiva sukritam vibhu, nor also sukritam pious activities. Vibhu is the Supreme Lord. So the Supreme Lord never accepts anyone's sin nor pious activities. Okay, accepts adate. Agyan means non-knowledge, like gyan means knowledge, so agyan means non-knowledge. um, Agyane navritam jnanam. Agyane, ignorance, avritam, covered, jnanam, knowledge. So ignorance covers knowledge. Tena muhyanti jantavah. By that are bewildered the living entities. Janta means people. So living entities are bewildered by that, by the fact that ignorance is covering our knowledge. Okay, so the commentary here. The Sanskrit word Vibhu means the Supreme Lord, who is full of unlimited knowledge, riches, strength, fame, all of that. He is satisfied in himself, and he doesn't care about our sinful or pious activities. He does not create any situation for living entities. But the living entities desires to be put into certain conditions of life, and therefore the action. So all of these things happen because of desires. Okay, so a living entity is by superior nature full of knowledge. Nevertheless, he is prone to be influenced by ignorance due to his limited power. The Lord is omnipotent, but the living entity is not. So the Lord is Vibhu, the living entity is Anu or atomic. And because he is a living soul, he has the capacity to desire by his free will. Such desire is fulfilled. So God fulfills our desire, whatever desires we have. So all of this personal growth stuff is all about desires, right? Like I want this desire, I'm manifesting, it's all law of attraction, it's all manifestation. It's all like fulfilling. So when I started this last year, when I started this process of spiritual growth, I was like, but the desires are good. The desires have been put into me by God, and I want to I desire to help people, and I desire all kinds of but the desires are good, but the desire for money is good, but the desire for health is good, but the desire for, like, I had so many buts. And I even earlier this year, actually, like, I mean, and that's the thing, it's changed so much. Just even by, I think, June, July or something, I still felt that, like, I was like, these desires, like, how can we not be, like, how can these desires not be good? But now I am getting to this very deep understanding, thanks to the Gita, that these desires are the reason for our problems. Basically, if our desire is not to have eternal love with Krishna, if our desire is not to have this eternal love for God, and then all the love for human beings comes from that love rather than being individual. Like, I don't want to love another human being because they are a human being. I want to love that other human being because God loves them, because God loves me like crazy and God loves them like crazy. So I want to love them because God loves them and I love God. Like it's everything comes from God. So when you water the root of a tree, then the whole tree flourishes, right? So if the root of the tree is God and all the leaves and everything are all the other human beings, then if I'm watering the root of the tree, then everybody else is also flourishing. And Krishna doesn't want us to be mean to anybody else, right? Of course not, because he loves everyone. He loves everyone just as crazily as he loves me. So um yeah, so now I'm understanding this whole concept of the material. So the huge difference between personal growth and spiritual, the Krishna consciousness, is that there's a difference, very clear difference between the material world and the spiritual world in the Krishna consciousness world. And in the personal growth world, everything is one, everything is equal. And if I'm like, the material world is just an extension of the spiritual world, and it's a representation, and it's okay. Like it's okay to enjoy the beauty of a flower, and it's okay to enjoy, like, but in the spiritual world, or any, I mean, even I'm going a very deep thing, like enjoying the beauty of flower. Why shouldn't we enjoy the beauty of a flower? Because if we're enjoying it as something, as a gift from Krishna, if we're directing everything to Krishna, if we're directing everything to God, God is the one providing me this thing. And God is it's not for my enjoyment. Like I can take this beautiful flower and I can offer it to Krishna and then enjoy it. Because if I've offered it to Krishna, and if he's like, if I in my mind I'm saying this beautiful scenery is created by you, and I want you to enjoy. This is your thing. The Swami Mukundanand said it in like one or two verses earlier. I am gifting to you what is already yours. So if we have that mood, like this is yours, this is your beautiful scene, and thank you for giving me this. So if we're connecting everything to God and saying that you are the one who's created this for your enjoyment, and I'm enjoying it because you're enjoying it, not because I'm enjoying it independently. This is a subtle thing. I don't know if it's coming across, but that's I think that's the beauty of it. So when we have this thing, when we're not enjoying separately from Krishna, and we're enjoying everything because Krishna has enjoyed it already, and because he's enjoying it, or because he so then it's different. Then we can accept it. Then we can feel really good about that same beautiful flower, or that same beautiful scenery, natural scenery. But we're doing it from the point of view of like, uh, this is for your enjoyment, and I am enjoying it because you're enjoying it. Um, yeah, it's totally different. And so I was trying to reach out to these personal growth people. Like, what do you think about this? What do you think about the spiritual growth? Like, it wasn't adding up. Like, but just in the last few months, it's like, okay, I think I'm getting it. I think I'm understanding, at least intellectually. I mean, not at least only intellectually right now, but I'm understanding it. I'm understanding the concept. And I'm no longer caring about that aspect of the personal growth where we want stuff. I'm caring about the aspect of the personal growth where we're removing the fears and uncovering the layers of the fears that we have. And I'm learning, how to interact with people in such a way that is a good way. Like, um yeah, I mean, I'm learning. For example, I learned that it's whatever relationship I'm in right now, I'm choosing to spend my time in, is reflective of where my consciousness level is. So it's okay for me to take stock of where I am with relationships in general, and just say, okay, I am not going to pour my heart into this relationship right now. I'm going to choose to put my time elsewhere, because this relationship is not serving me in this moment, and it's not serving me to grow in my Krishna consciousness in this moment. That way, like it's I'm still trying to understand it fully, but yes, I mean, something like that. So yes, the personal growth world is beautiful. It's really, really beautiful, and it's very necessary. I don't think you can do without it. You have to work through it to work past it. And that's what he says in the Karma Yoga things, that do your duty. Because if you go off into the forest and you do a meditation for 20 years and you come back into the real world and somebody steps on your foot, that's a Swami Kundanand example, then you will feel irritated. And all of your 20 years of tapasya and all of that renunciation is just gone to waste, right? But if you're in the world, if you're living in the world and you're learning how to interact with people and not get upset when someone steps on your foot, that is a far more superior that's my understanding of this whole thing. That is a far more superior state to be in. So you're not running away, you're not hiding, you're in it. You're in the muck, you're in the mud, and you're working, you're becoming like a lotus leaf, and you're going above the muck. Okay. Going back to this. Okay, so the Lord is omniscient, Vibhu, and the living entity is Anu or atomic. And because he's a living soul, he has the capacity to desire by his free will. And such a desire is fulfilled by the Lord. So even when the living entity is bewildered in his desires, the Lord allows him to fulfill those desires. I love this. So even if our desires are just ridiculous, the Lord will fulfill those desires. But the Lord is never responsible for the actions and reactions of the desires, right? But we are responsible for the actions and the reactions. We are responsible for the sinful reactions. We're responsible for the karma, good or bad, that comes out of that. Therefore, the embodied soul identifies himself with the material body and becomes subject to temporary misery and happiness of life. The Lord is a constant companion in the. So there are three aspects of God: Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagwan. So Brahman is the sunshine. It's the all-pervading aspect of God. Paramatma is the aspect of God that lives with us, with every living entity. And Bhagwan is like the sun, which is Krishna himself, the form, the Krishna. So the one who lives, Krishna lives with us, every one of us, as Paramatma. And so he can understand the desire. So it's like, the two birds example. We are the bird that's actually doing, and Paramatma is watching us. And whatever we are desiring, Paramatma is giving us. Whether it's good or bad or whatever, Paramatma is giving us because we have free will. Krishna is giving us. So Lord fulfills his desires. Desires is a subtle form of conditioning. So Lord fulfills his desires. Man proposes and God disposes. The individual is therefore not omnipotent in fulfilling his desires. We need the Lord to fulfill our desires. So when we desire Krishna, then the Lord takes care to encourage the desire in such a way that we can attain him. And so therefore, So when we avoid Krishna consciousness, we create our own bewilderment. And and under the spell of ignorance, the living entity claims that the Lord is responsible for his conditional existence, which is not. We are responsible. The Lord neither hates nor likes anyone, though he appears to. Okay, Swami Mukundanand says God is not responsible for anyone's virtuous deeds or sinful actions. God's work is threefold. He provides the soul with the power to act. Once we have performed the actions, he notes our actions, and then he gives us the results of our karmas. Good karma, bad karma, whatever, it's us. So we desire, God will fulfill our desires, and then we will have the karma reaction to that. Good or bad, we will have the reaction to that. And either good or bad, both of them cause bondage. We've talked about that before. So the individual soul has the freedom to perform good or bad actions by exercise of its own free will. And so God's work is like the umpire. He'll give results, 4 runs, 6 runs, but he's unbiased, right? He cannot be blamed for the decision. He's just saying, okay, you did this is your reaction. So and then he says, one may ask why God granted free will to the soul. It's because we are qualitatively the same as God, and God is supremely independent. So we have some amount of independence as well. And also he says, and I love this, without free will there can be no love. I mean, you can't force somebody to love you, right? So if we want to love God, then we have to have free will in order to love God. In ignorance, some souls do not even realize they possess the freedom to choose their actions and hold God responsible. They may say that they have free will, but then they're like, oh, I did this. But that's a sign of ignorance, because that's not true. Okay, this was a power-packed verse, and and then I've been continuing my Bhagavad Gita studies with a friend as well, and so we are on chapter 3 right now, and that's been really, really incredible as well. It's been amazing. I feel so. This is Krishna's mercy, because I'm really eager to learn this, and he's sending me opportunities to learn it, and it's just really amazing. Okay, so we will do chapter 5, verse 16 in the next video. Wish you a day filled with spiritual growth. Radhe Radhe.